February 18th, 2025. Welcome to today's edition of California Water News Daily. California's controversial Delta Tunnel project, the Newsom administration's single-tunnel version of the earlier twin tunnels proposal, just secured a pivotal incidental take permit from the California Department of Fish and Wildlife under Section 2081(b) of the California Endangered Species Act. This permit authorizes limited take of imperiled fish species including Chinook salmon and Delta smelt during both the massive tunnel's construction and long-term operation. From a policy standpoint, the ITP represents a critical milestone that allows the project to advance through remaining regulatory gauntlets, notably the State Water Resources Control Board's water rights proceedings and final CEQA reviews. Politically, this approval underscores the enduring clash between statewide water supply objectives, particularly for urban Southern California and agricultural interests in the San Joaquin Valley, and the ecological integrity of the Sacramento-San Joaquin Delta. Governor Newsom's administration argues the tunnel will enhance water reliability amid climate extremes, while environmental coalitions and Delta communities counter that diverting freshwater flows further threatens fish populations and local livelihoods. Amid ongoing litigation threats and legislative scrutiny, the ITP's issuance tightens the policy fault lines. Proponents hail it as a pragmatic step toward water security, while opponents condemn it as a green light to exacerbate ecosystem collapse in California's iconic estuary. Shasta Dam, California's largest reservoir in the Central Valley Project, remains unusually full following a series of potent storm systems. Heavy inflows have elevated lake levels near maximum storage capacity, prompting substantial outflow releases to preserve flood control buffer and alleviate downstream pressure. According to the Bureau of Reclamation, operators are modulating outflows by tens of thousands of cubic feet per second, balancing water supply needs against critical flood risk mitigation. While current discharges harness the dam's controlled spillways and power plant releases to safely lower reservoir elevations, rapid inflows from snowmelt forecasts and subsequent atmospheric rivers are a concern. Advanced hydrometric data and real-time modeling inform these strategic adjustments, ensuring coordinated collaboration with local flood control agencies. Despite vigorous river flows into the Sacramento Valley, officials emphasize that Shasta remains structurally sound, with the integrated watershed management plan ready to pivot in response to any further hydrologic surges. The California State Water Resources Control Board has scheduled a probationary hearing on February 20th to evaluate the Kern Subbasin's compliance with the Sustainable Groundwater Management Act. Local groundwater sustainability agencies have submitted plans that, according to the Department of Water Resources, contain technical and managerial deficiencies, jeopardizing the subbasin's ability to achieve long-term groundwater balance. During the hearing, the board will determine if the subbasin should be placed under probation, a status granting the state authority to impose interim plans, conduct hydrological and engineering assessments, and levy associated fees. Central to the proceedings is whether local agencies can sufficiently address concerns around aquifer overdraft, water budget inaccuracies, and the implementation of robust monitoring networks. If the subbasin is deemed non-compliant, mandatory corrective actions could be enforced to prevent further depletion of critical water reserves. Stakeholders are encouraged to participate in the hearing to provide scientific, economic, and operational perspectives on groundwater sustainability strategies. Between February 13th and 14th, 2025, a powerful winter storm slammed Southern California, unleashing torrential downpours and gusty winds that destabilized hillsides from Glendale to Santa Clarita. Multiple mudslides struck steep neighborhoods in Burbank and Pasadena, clogging primary arteries with debris and prompting urgent evacuations as soaked slopes continued to fracture. In Anaheim, a commercial structure's roof collapsed under excessive rainfall, underscoring the widespread structural toll throughout the region. Meanwhile, local water distribution networks, particularly those managed by the Los Angeles Department of Water and Power, faced operational strain when heavy runoff heightened turbidity in reservoirs and inundated treatment facilities. Several aging pipelines suffered pressure fluctuations, leading officials to institute temporary water conservation measures and accelerate infrastructure inspections. As cleanup crews raced to clear mud-choked streets and reinforce vulnerable rooftops, authorities remain vigilant for additional hazards as winter conditions persist. A federal hiring freeze imposed under the Trump administration restricted the Bureau of Land Management's ability to fill critical wildfire-related positions. This policy significantly curtailed the recruitment of specialized personnel, such as fire ecologists, incident commanders, and elite firefighting crews, whose expertise is essential for conducting prescribed burns, executing real-time fire modeling, and ensuring rapid deployment in emergent situations. By limiting staff levels, the freeze disrupted interagency coordination agreements designed to share resources and streamline firefighting efforts. The policy-driven shortfall in qualified personnel has consequently hampered fuel reduction measures and increased the threat of uncontrolled blazes, especially in areas already vulnerable to drought and climate-induced shifts in fire behavior. Ultimately, the hiring freeze has become a pivotal factor influencing BLM's operational capacity, exacerbating wildfire risks, and complicating the agency's ability to safeguard communities, ecosystems, and infrastructure. FEMA has reaffirmed its post-wildfire remediation framework, emphasizing that its soil sampling and removal strategy aligns with rigorous federal and state hazardous waste guidelines. In the wake of recent destructive fires, agency officials deployed standardized sampling protocols, collecting core soil profiles from designated burn footprints to assess concentrations of heavy metals, asbestos, dioxins, and other contaminants. These data, cross-referenced with EPA action thresholds, inform targeted excavation and disposal measures intended to curb long-term ecological and public health risks. Critics have challenged the methodology's specificity and the extent of stakeholder engagement, citing potential underrepresentation of localized hotspots in official test results and raising concerns about residual toxin levels post-cleanup. FEMA, however, highlights continuous collaboration with scientific and regulatory partners, contending that aggregated sampling outputs yield statistically robust evidence for broad-scale hazard reduction. As a result, agency representatives maintain that current procedures strike an optimal balance between expedited community recovery and responsible environmental stewardship. Recent water quality analyses by Lincoln Avenue Water Company and Rubio Canyon Land and Water Association in Altadena, as well as the Los Angeles Department of Water and Power in the Palisades, detected PFAS concentrations ranging from 50 to 70 parts per trillion, exceeding California's recommended response levels. Concurrent testing revealed nitrate contamination from aged fertilizer runoff and deteriorating septic systems, plus evidence of lead leaching from corroded service lines in older neighborhoods. In response, each utility has initiated a suite of remediation measures, including high-flow granular activated carbon filters, ion exchange columns for advanced PFAS removal, and newly installed SCADA sensors for real-time monitoring of contaminant loads. State-funded hydrogeological surveys have also guided the placement of subsurface barriers and new recharge basins to stem plume migration, while emergency allocations from the California State Water Resources Control Board accelerate upgrades to water mains and wellheads. Together, these initiatives, estimated at over $150 million in total, emphasize the critical synergy of cutting-edge engineering, community engagement, and stringent regulatory oversight to safeguard the region's drinking water.